Welcome to another episode of Cooking 100-Year-Old Recipes. If this is your first time here, I'm your host, Stephanie. In this episode, I'm making something called a bread omelet. If you have some leftover stale bread, this is the time to use it. First, I'm going to separate the eggs and let them come to room temperature. Next, I have broken up the stale bread into crumbs, and it's instructed to soak the crumbs in milk for 15 minutes. While the breadcrumbs are absorbing the milk, I'm going to beat the egg whites to stiff peaks. And I'm using my Cuisinart hand blender, and this is the whisk attachment. I will link it below. I use it in quite a few of my videos. It's much easier to do this than to get out a whole mixer. And it whips them up in just under 3 minutes. Perfect. Now I'm putting the egg yolks into a larger bowl because I will be combining everything after I mix them. With the same whisk, I'm mixing it until it's a creamy lemon yellow. And this also will take nearly 3 minutes. I keep scraping down the sides with a silicone spatula to make sure all of it's getting mixed properly. Next, I add some sea salt, and the recipe instructs a few grains of pepper, and I've decided to use freshly ground black pepper, but I am using white pepper later on. And additionally, a few tablespoons of hot water. This will help stabilize the egg yolk mixture. The addition of the hot water will make this change quite dramatically. Look at that, it's tripled in volume now. Then add the milk-soaked breadcrumbs to the egg yolk mixture and combine. Next, I will lighten up the mixture with about a quarter of the whipped egg whites. I use the cut and fold up from the bottom method. You see the mixture is lightening right up because the bread is a bit heavy. And the rest of the egg whites go in. And I gently combine it so that they don't get too deflated. Before I cook the eggs, I'm going to make the thin white sauce that is served with the bread omelet. White sauce is used quite a bit in this book. I've already used it in some other recipes I've made for the channel. The proportion of butter and flour to milk is the lowest of all three of the sauces, or all three of the white sauces that she makes. And this will make a nice pourable sauce, very smooth. A little salt, and I am using the white pepper here just for color's sake. I don't want to see that dirty look that the black pepper gives it. But certainly you can add the black pepper onto the finished egg dish when you serve it. Or use black pepper now if you don't mind the look of it. And just a little more flour because some of it stuck to the bottom of my prep bowl. I must have had some moisture in there before I put the flour in. And if I don't have the right amount, the proportion will be off and the sauce will be much too thin. Just quickly making sure my pan is ready for the eggs. I have the pan heating on a low to medium heat. Eggs get tough when they are cooked on too high of a heat because this is not a quick cooking egg dish. Alright, I have my skillet ready and she's just cooking butter. And I'm using a very small amount. I used my iron skillet, and if you're familiar with them, things do not stick to a well-seasoned iron skillet. But I'm sure the butter adds a nice flavor, so I am using it. And then I pour in, look at the fluff, look at the nice volume in that, and spread it gently over so I'm not deflating the egg white. And I always turn off the heat and put a cover over my eggs when I cook omelets. So I'm doing the same for this method. And I just let the residual heat cook it. And it makes a nice, very light crust on the bottom. And it instructs to touch it, and when the whites don't stick to your finger, it is done. See, no sticking. And that brownness adds a nice flavor because this is a very delicate egg dish. Beautiful, nice and puffy. And then it gets some of the thin white sauce served with it. This has such a nice texture, very light, airy, and it's not a highly flavored egg dish. As you can see, there wasn't much seasoning used in it, so I ended up serving it with some ham and it was perfect. So that is the bread omelet in the Fannie Farmer cookbook. Hope to see you again.